Welcome to the One More Boom podcast, where we are a different breed. This is more than just a space for oilfield and pipeline professionals. It's a community built for those who refuse to settle for the ordinary. You're here because you're ambitious, resilient, and driven to excel. At One More Boom, we're both more than just work. We're both thriving under pressure, breaking new ground, and pushing limits. This is your place to connect, learn, and grow with others who live for the challenge. You're not average, you're a different breed. Welcome to the One More Boom community.
Here we are with another One More Boom podcast with my man Shawn Miller. How you doing there, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you, man? It's cold.
It's cold, dude. You're in the middle of interior of BC. You're doing all right.
Let's say it's like a 30-degree swing here.
So it's crazy. I know. Yeah, the whole system moved here, starting to move through Calgary a little bit too. So, oh yeah. We were minus 25 the other day, so I'm pretty sure you didn't hit that. So.
Yeah, I think we're like -5, and I'm like, let's put on a hoodie.
First world problems. Oh, it's good. It's good, man. So, man, it's with there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the world. Like it's pretty wild. The election just happened, all of that, and we don't really talk politics on here too much, but all of that stuff affects what we do here in the oil field. So it is relevant.
Yeah, it's super relevant, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens February 1st. I mean, once again, we don't talk politics here. We don't even have a government.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of a problem, right? So I hope that all of you feel the same way as we feel about the current not so government. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, man. I'm super interested to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, at least we got on the Alberta side, we got a premier that's advocating for us with Trump down there. So it's really good.
Yeah, it's really helping out for you guys. I was reading an article today that Keystone Pipeline is now approved.
Yeah, it'll be, I don't know if the Canadian part will be part of that, but the US, it might be there. So
No. I mean, like the one out to the coast here.
Oh, yeah.
The Indigenous people decided that in order, because of the tariffs and whatnot that's going to come, we need to get our stuff to market, and they reconsidered.
Yeah, so that'll be, there's one, the PRGT, the Prince Rupert Gas Transmission will be one. And then, we'll see what else comes out of that, but it is interesting. It's good for everybody.
It is. It's good for Canada.
100%. So on that note, with the potential of more work coming, what that means is more guys leaving home.
That's right, man. More guys leaving home, but you know what's even better is guys getting back to work. If they took the time, hopefully, to, like we've talked about before, is maybe level up a little bit, take some more courses, maybe educate themselves on the next position that's coming up, or whatever that looks like for them. I'll tell you, Nick, like just for me, for these set of days off here, I started a nutritional course. So, trying to level myself up, get my nutrition in order, and then hopefully help some people along the way.
It's super cool that you're doing that. And on that, I had a coaching client here that was going to start a business. I wanted to start a business outside the oil field. I won't go into what it was. It doesn't really matter at this point. But the interesting part of that is he going through that process over the past 2 months, he realized that he doesn't have enough money to start what he wants to start. So now he's decided and made a plan to go back into the field for the next 2 years because he's making more money than he is sitting in an office in Edmonton and working that way. So it's very interesting. He's been home back for a year now, similar to what you did last year. And before you left for Saudi, 2 days ago was his first day at camp in forever. It's family. He's got 2 kids at home. He's got a wife, and trying to navigate that now after being home for a year. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I bet it's tough, man. I know it was tough for me leaving the first time, I guess a few months ago now, after being home for just over a year. It's tough on the family. It's tough on you. It's tough on your wife. It's tough on the kids. That transition is pretty tough. So hats off to that guy. I mean, the cool thing is it sounds like he's got a plan. And, in order to get that plan going, he's got to go back to the field and make the money to make the things happen, right? So we're very fortunate that we can have a plan as far as like, this is what I got to do. I got to make 150 grand, 200 grand, or whatever it is in the next 2 years, save, put away, still pay the bills in order to move forward with a business idea.
Yeah. And that before we get into how that plan came about, it's where else do you have that potential to be able to do that without, even if you had a PhD or some sort of degree, the likelihood of that happening isn't really feasible, other than being in the oil field and pipeline.
Yeah, man, 100%. I don't know if you've been watching this show, Landman. Have you been watching that?
Yeah. Wild.
You
Hey?
know, it's super wild, super cool. I don't know how close it is to the actual Texas oil field, but you know, they talk about in there. It's like this is a chance of a lifetime. This is a job of a lifetime. You know, you're either in or you're out. And I know some of those guys on that show got kicked out, and you know that devastates families, right? So we're fortunate here in Canada, where you know minimum wage is a little bit higher and that sort of thing, and there's still good jobs available outside of the oil field. But I can't even count on you know all the digits I have of how many people have gone into the oil field with the idea to save for school, save for business, save for whatever. You know, kind of come in for 2 years and get out.
Yeah. And it was really interesting how that conversation came about, where going through that process, and he's really wanted to do this forever. So he took the time, hired me as his coach to walk through that business plan, and we set it all up. So the past 2 months, literally starting from ground zero, building that business plan. And then things are going a little bit sideways at work where he was at. They went from 200 grand a year down to 120,000 for his salary. Yeah. And it, they just didn't follow through with that 200 grand and just kept kicking it down the can. Hey, it's coming. Hey, it's coming. Hey, it's coming. And then finally it's like, do you guys even want me here? Like, am I not the right person for this job? Which he's seen the writing on the wall. Like, they had a job posting out that he caught.
Jeez.
For his stuff. And they denied it, that it was for somebody else. So he wasn't happy or even valued where he was at. And he's very good at his job. So it was one of those things where he took the time to, through a bunch of questions that I asked him, that I do every quarter. So with myself and my clients, I take them through and what is your 1 year target in your family or fitness, fulfillment, family and finances, and then reverse engineer to what happens this quarter. And through that, you're asking yourself a bunch of questions. And he's like, oh, man, no, okay, we gotta leave. We gotta get back into the field. So luckily he's got the connections to be able to make that work. He made a few phone calls and he was working, and he's got 20 days a month in the field, and perfect.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, good for him. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of guys have like when you leave the field, you kind of leave the field and you don't ever talk to them, other guys in the field ever again, really. So it's fortunate that he kept those you know contacts and all that together to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. So it's really interesting when you start asking yourself those questions. And this is stuff we touched on it in the early episodes, where personally I never did. It was just, let's go away to work and let's go make a bunch of money and see what happens. Okay. It's not a good way to live. So that's why I'm so adamant and passionate about talking about this stuff and making a plan and reverse engineering. What are we going to do next? What is the next move? And why are we doing this? So it's really interesting with his family too, where he can now start to have those conversations. Like, this is why I'm gone. This is, and clearly map out, like, this is why we're doing it. And you showed your vision board there last couple episodes ago, I believe. And so along that same lines, where he's now able to articulate to the kids, because they're young, why daddy's gone again.
Which is so cool, right? Like, you know, I used to tell my kids when they were really young, hey, Dad, why do you got to go? And I said, well, Daddy's got to buy pancakes. Oh, okay. I get it. You know what I mean? So it's just like one of those things like, if Daddy doesn't go, well, we can't have pancakes. And it was just something tangible that they could hold on to, that they could, you know, touch, feel, taste. I mean, it's a little bit different now. They're, you know, late in their teenage years, and you could talk to them like almost like adults. And, you know, the reason I'm going is because of this, this, and this. And it's cool to be able to have those kind of conversations with them now. If you're not having with those kids, man, those conversations with your kids or your wife or whatever, now's the time to start. Explain to them that it's not just about the boat in the yard or the big truck or the fancy house or whatever that looks like for you. It's about a plan. It's about retirement. It's about your education. It's about whatever it is about for you guys.
And what's so cool about this guy is being able to articulate that business that they have at the end, the carrot at the at the end of the trail, if you want to
Right.
put it that way,
Yeah.
is now he's teaching his kids about business. Because he's been walking through and they've been having family meetings on, hey, like, this is this is what we need to do to get this life. Um, uh, and he wants to pass that now that business down to his kids. That's the intent. So he gets to walk them all through that. And then his wife, she also does a photography business that she just launched in December, and she's getting quite a few clients already for just like basically a month of advertising. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah. So two entrepreneurial
People in the same household.
yeah, exactly. I got tongue tied there. It's awesome. That's the beauty
I got
of
you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's good being able to have those conversations. But now that he's away at work, it creates a whole different dynamic in the household, in his head. So he's talking about hiring a counselor to help him through that stuff, so he can talk with him, every couple of weeks or a month, and be able to manage that as one of his targets with his fulfillment. So
Which is super cool, man. Like, it's becoming more and more acceptable, which it should have been in the first place, to be able to talk to someone professionally. I've had 3 people reach out from basically by like my community asking if I've talked to someone, and then that's something that I do. Of course it is. And just getting that stigma of having and we talked about this before, is like, you got to coach for fitness, you got to coach for business, you got to coach for life. Why not have someone to coach you on your feelings,
yeah,
right?
100%. And it doesn't have, having that certifiable person to go to, whether that's a certified therapist, counselor, all that is very cool. But sometimes all we just need is somebody to be able to listen. And that's what a lot of it is. So that's why the transition that we went through is he hired me for business coaching to launch this new business. And now we've transitioned into basic life coaching, which 6-7 years ago I wouldn't have been open to, and all that. And now I'm like, man, I've had a coach for speaking. I've had a coach like personally for speaking and presentations. I've had one for business and marketing, and then fitness. And it's huge having that someone to bounce those ideas off of,
Yeah, absolutely,
and the
man.
stuff that's
Yeah.
going on in your head.
Yeah, and those things, like, we'll go back to the counselor thing, is like, it's not well, how does that make you feel? It's not like that at all. It's just having a conversation with someone, and having them listen and kind of shoot things back at you, with the intent of, healing or dealing with feelings, and all those sort of things that go along with that. But I think it's so important, man. It's cool to talk to your spouse, and it's cool to talk to your buddies or your brothers or whatever. But I mean, let's be honest, sometimes it can lead you a little bit to the other side, and that's not the side you want to go to, right? So it's having someone to talk to that's a professional that can help you handle those feelings and those big challenges is a massive, massive up. I think that's how I feel about it.
100%. And it's him and I had that discussion 2 nights ago where he's like, yeah, some of this stuff I don't want to talk to my wife about. Like it's stuff that if I hold it inside, it's like he's getting more anxious and angry when he's not an anxious or angry person. And it's literally coming from him holding this stuff inside and has no outlet, constructive outlet to be able to put it into.
Well,
So
if you want,
it's a beautiful dynamic.
yeah, man. I mean, like, traditionally we're men, right? Like, we go to work, we do the things, we don't have feelings, but also what we do is we protect the people we love, and that's I don't know if that's something that's ingrained in you as a young child, or because we're men and we're automatically like that. We're automatically want to shelter, protect our loved ones, our little ones, our wives, our parents, whatever that looks like. So having those awkward conversations, like, I don't know if we can make rent, or that sort of thing, is like, those feelings that come along with that they're out of control, man. So
Yeah.
it's super cool to have that conversation, and you don't even want to have those conversations with your buddies, because it's like you're already embarrassed. But if you can get that off your chest with someone that's gonna talk you off the ledge, so to speak, not literally,
Could
it's a
be.
huge weight off
It,
your chest. I mean, it could be
yeah,
too. Absolutely, one
yeah,
hundred
but
percent. It could be.
it could 1,000% it could be where it's having that, yeah, it's having that outlet and having someone from the outside that's not part of your group, that we're impartial. And that's why I love I show up once a week, we chat, like there's a structure to it, but it's where it's an impartial person, because I don't know what happened during the week. And part of that dynamic, it just totally removed from the outside. So it's like, it's literally back to facts versus feelings. It's like, you tell me what the facts are and let's chat about it, because your perception of what's going on isn't even reality. Let's be honest.
And that's the other cool but crazy part of it is, right? It's like you can create these realities within your head and you can base them off what you think is fact. But in reality, once you say them out loud to someone else that's not in that reality, they're just like, sometimes it's like a punch in the face. It's like, oh my God, how did I think that was that?
Yes. Yes. No. So it goes back to even the reverse engineering of his quarterly targets for this quarter. So January until March 31st, it was an impartial, hey, I want to do this cool thing in each of these areas in fitness, fulfillment, family, and finances. Okay. What's actually feasible though, where we get to reverse? Yeah. Like, and it's always nice. And you do that with me all the time. So it's good. It's like, hey man, maybe look in this direction. Right. Like, so it goes back to your reality. It's just not real. So that reverse engineering was key. So now he has in his mind now what he needs to do, and then reverse engineer it back even further to every day. Okay, what do I need to do every day in each of these areas to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, move that needle a little bit.
Yeah. And when you're working, 12 to 16 hours a day out in the field, you lose, that's lost time where, okay, now we got 8 hours. What are we going to do with it? It's going to, and you can eat that up real fast with a little bit of sleep and eating and showering. And as you know, and now the day becomes a groundhog day.
But I can't tell you how many times I actually just had this conversation in the gym this morning with someone. I'm on days off, right? I mean, yeah, I have a few things that I got to do. I have some companies that, anyways, but on just a day where I'm not doing anything, I hit the gym in the morning, 8 o'clock. I take the kids and wife to work and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I got 7 hours to do whatever I want with. And like all of a sudden it's 2:30, 2:45, and I got to pick up my little girl. And I'm like, where the how does that even, you know what I mean? So when you don't structure your days, because I'm thinking I got a day off to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to structure anything, but I got to be here for this. Just fly by. And then, did I accomplish anything, Nick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't.
No. So that's why I'm really adamant now that he's back in the field. So he has this 150 to 200,000 audacious in 2 years. Let's do that. But yeah, what has to happen now? So that's everything from budgeting, which they never did. And yeah, and they do well, but now they've realized they're not going to hit that goal, even if they don't structure it better. Right. So he's going to hit the gym three days a week, which in the field, that's so he wants to get back into that. He addressed, I guess, prior to that, that he's the heaviest that he's ever been. So he's been in the office now for a year, where before he was in the field. And, that's like, so with him getting out of routine, not doing the gym when he could have been while he was in town, but chose not to, but now he's the heaviest that he's ever been. And he's like, I'm away from work. I don't have anything outside because we aren't doing any other businesses or any other thing himself personally. So I got time to put into me 3 days a week. So that's what I'm committing to. So it's pretty cool.
Massive, man. And I've talked about this before, and I think it's legit is when you start putting time into yourself, you show up better for the world, for the people you love, for your company, for whatever it is that you need to show up for. When you start taking care of yourself and putting that time in to yourself, you show up better in the world.
Yeah. It's having that plan. And with today, the day that we're recording this is Men's Mental Health Day, which I didn't know, and till earlier today. And it's interesting, man. Like the guilt, the anger, the shame of being gone, and all the, like, we addressed all the feelings, being able to put those to good use, because they're good. You can use them as fuel, all of it. Doesn't have to be just the good stuff. You can use the bad stuff as fuel.
Pull that stuff out of the cookie jar, like Goggins says. Man, I want to share something with you guys. Lots of times I've worked overseas for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, whatever it is. there are times when I'm like sitting in my hotel room or my condo or whatever it is, I'm watching TV, because I've read that book or I've done this, and it's like, what am I doing? What am I doing with it? And you kind of you spiral down into that, right? So and it's so easy to spiral down into that. So it's if you're not, and we'll go back to this, if you don't have those goals, if you don't have those things that you're trying to get done, and you don't have those daily um, check-ins, or I guess like what you should be doing that day to move the needle to wherever it is that you got to go, those days can become weeks. They can become months. You can be at work and you're like, what am I doing? Like you're just making money. And
Yep.
I mean, not that there's anything wrong with that. And you can have financial goals, right? But if you don't have those goals in place, for me, like some of those days, I was just like, it's easier to go in a downward spiral because it's like I didn't have a goal. I was doing it just to do it, just to make the money, which is now for me, like it seems almost ridiculous, right? It's like I didn't have a goal in place. Like where was I? What was I doing? Just
Yeah.
making money.
Yeah. And then you start taking it out on your wife, your kids, your friends, your coworkers. And I've been there. I've been that guy. And it didn't go well when it
Yeah.
starts doing that. And then you become the 45-year-old single guy that's running around. So it
Not that there's
happens.
anything wrong with being 45.
No, we we do okay over here. We have some fun. So
Yeah, you do. Just
there's
living
nothing.
vicariously through you, Nick. That's what's going on over here. Don't tell
There's
my wife.
right? So no, and I'm envious on the other side. There's good and bad with everything, and it's what you make of it. Yeah, lots of guys out there. Yeah, single, married. This is all relevant to everybody because at some point we're in one of these scenarios in all of our lives.
100%. And like I'll go back to that whole spiral. It's like I'm missing my kids, I'm missing my wife, I'm missing my buddies. The weirdest thing I ever found, man, is like when you're away at work, the world doesn't stop, right? Everybody still is moving, everyone's still living, everyone's still growing up. And that was a really like I've been in the field for I don't even know how long, but a long time, and that realization actually came to me really late for for what I should actually when it should have came to me, right? Like I was so focused on what I was doing that I wasn't like the world was literally passing me by because I didn't have those goals, I didn't have those things to structure it and to look forward to and smash, right? So now it's really important to me to have those goals and those. I don't do daily ones. Mine's more like on a week by week basis, only because my life can get kind of a little out of control. But it's still super important.
Mhm. And it's however you structure it, it's really up to you how you want to structure it because everybody's different. Everyone has a different tolerance. And I'll go back to I'll touch on my fitness journey myself is I'm pushing in business. That's what I need. I'm working on structure. I'm working on stability personally with things that I've purposely put myself into. And that's the focus, but I'm still staying consistent in the gym. I'm still showing up. Like my workouts are not what I think they should be. And because I have pretty high standards for myself. But I'm still showing up and I'm still doing the things. I'm still eating the way that I'm supposed to be, that my coach wants me to eat. And I'm still doing the things, even though it's not 100%. And my thing is, if I'm not going all in on something, I just don't do it. Like that's my fallback is it's all or nothing. So then I push back. So I'm not sending it. There's some things that I'm personally not doing. I'm not sending my videos, my training videos like I'm supposed to be. My check-ins, my daily check-ins aren't 100%. Like I miss some sleep days or like logging sleep or whatever that looks like. Just little things that are adding up. But if I let that go on, if I don't catch myself sooner than later, then I'm not going to be fulfilled because that stuff does fulfill me. Like so, but having that coach there to like push me and like, hey, this has been going on. Okay, you told me that this is going to be 2 months that you're going to kind of go off the rails a little bit. Well, let's rail it back or rein it back in. And
Well,
I love having it.
massive about accountability, but they also the thing about letting those stuff go, and the more you let those things go, the more they become the norm, and the more you can justify doing ABC because of CDE. You know what I mean? Like And that's kind of the problem. That's when you commit to something, and I'm the same way, Nick. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it 110% because I hate being bad at things.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a competitive edge or competitiveness in me or what it is, but I hate being bad at things. I hate being bad at my job. I hate being bad at whatever it is. I don't. So I'm going to do it 110% because then I know I've given it my all and I'm not going to slouch off on it. And then hopefully I'm going to get good at it, whatever that may be. So going back to letting those little things slide, once they become the norm, it's real hard to pull yourself back up that landslide, right? Like it's once you're slipping, it's real hard to pull yourself back up. So consistency is massive. Procrastination is the biggest form of self-disrespect.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's a big one for me. And it's something that I've learned in the last few years, right? It's like, just respect yourself. Take the time, do the things, and commit.
Yeah. And the small, consistent actions they add up over time. It doesn't look like it is. Like anyone that's tried to lose a bunch of weight and it hasn't happened in the first 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, it takes time, man. It took, if you're in your 40s, it's taken you 40, essentially probably since high school. So call it 25, 30 years of not taking care of yourself. It's not going to happen in 2 months. So, and you don't have to do it all at once. That's the big thing. It's just small little things every day, and it starts to compound. And all of a sudden, a year from now, 2 years from now, it's like, oh, I'm back to what I was before. Now we can build on. But we got these expectations in our mind that instant gratification and all of this other stuff, and boom, it's going to happen now. Well, yeah, you can pump a bunch of drugs if you're talking about fitness and doing stuff. But if you don't put in the work, none of that stuff means anything anyways. So you're just going to do more harm. So
that's right. Yeah, you can take the Ozempic, you can do the things, but I mean, you can't take that stuff forever. And it's even harder for women. Like, let's be honest, especially at our age, Nick. I mean, they go to premenopause, menopause, all that stuff, and hormones plays a massive, massive factor in weight loss or fitness in general. One of the biggest things, and I don't know if you listen to this, is women should be taking creatine. It's not I mean, there's a type of creatine that you should be taking, but I think everybody should be taking creatine, at least, 5 milligrams a day, but everybody should be taking that. Most women should be taking an iron supplement. I mean, there's lots of other things that we can get into, but losing weight, especially as a woman with your hormones out of control, is super, super hard. And it's very, very important to get in there and see a hormone specialist. I mean, your GP is good, but get in and see someone that actually does that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's a big stigma around, I guess essentially it's called TRT with women, which means like, taking testosterone, estrogen, or what's the other, progesterone? Is that the one? Yeah. Anyways, taking one of those three because everybody's different. And once you start taking those and your hormones get into the normal ranges, which they should be, everything else comes together. You can lose the weight, you can tone the muscle, you can do all the things that you want to do, and maybe you don't feel so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. No, and there's things that, it doesn't matter if it's in your business or if in your personal life or your fitness. There's these little things, and there's a reason why it's all over YouTube and everything. Like you can learn this stuff for free, but it's for a lot of it, but it's implementing it. It's on you. It really is. And it takes time.
And that's why I love those micro habits, man. It's like one little thing at a time. I was having a conversation with a buddy just probably a couple of weeks ago. And he was telling me, he's like, man, I'm really trying to cut back on drinking. It's like, when I hit the barbecue, it's like, what do? I barbecue and have a beer. When I'm, building stuff at the table, what do? I have a beer. When I'm whatever, A, B, C, D, I'm having a beer. And I just said to him, like, maybe try not having a beer while you're barbecuing. Start there. Yeah, but I'm still having a beer with this, this, and this. I'm like, well, maybe after a week you don't have a beer with your barbecuing, and then the next week you try not having a beer while you're cutting up your meat or whatever it is that you're doing, construction or building a deck or whatever. And you just make those small little things. Like for me, when I get on a plane, I automatically throw in a dip.
Yeah.
Automatically.
Yeah.
If I wanted to quit dipping, that would be the one. I would have to stop putting in a dip once I get into a plane.
Yeah. But it's like, those little things like that, even if it's just one little thing, it'll add, it's like conversations. If you have a tough conversation, you're like, how many more of these can I have? So it's like, hey, what can I do next to move the needle? And it's like, man, this isn't that hard. And it really isn't. But in our brain, just so ingrained, the human psyche, we're all addicts. It's just what it is. And
100%.
we're all addicts. So we can dive in. But yeah, man, it's really interesting. Yeah. I love that conversation that I had with my client the other day. And he's not the only one. There's so many guys that have gone to work, or they chose to go out into the oil field, and but they've never been home for more, or left home for more than a day. And now they're gone for a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever it is. And this stuff is not meant to be taken lightly.
It's not. And, talking to someone is definitely worth it. Those things that you're talking about, you start off with other men. And what I really found is, like, when I started talking about those things with other men, is other men felt the same.
Yeah. We try to think that we're the only ones with these feelings or problems or whatever. And there's 7 billion people on this earth, and I'm pretty sure, and we've been around for how long? Your problem is not unique to anybody else, but we like to think it is. So yeah. That being said, I think we'll wrap her up for today, and yeah, we can talk forever on this stuff. So
yeah, man, 100%. I mean, like, you kind of go round and round. So
yeah,
good. I love it.
No, excellent. So we'll see you guys next week, and have a great week.
See you soon, Nikki.
That's it for today's episode of One More Boom Podcast. Remember, you're part of a community that doesn't settle for the status quo. Here, we push boundaries, support each other, and thrive under pressure. Whether you're out in the field or level up your career, we've got your back. Stay connected, stay driven, and keep embodying the grit of a different breed. Until next time, keep pushing forward. Together, we'll achieve more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode of One More Boom.